I honestly should be really doing more because I don't really post videos at all on either of my channels as often as I probably should.
I don't think people realize what an hour of work like that feels like. It's not the same as I read for 15 hours.
I feel like at the end of the day, I think that it's pretty obvious that the British people are wrong 100% of the time. They launched the war. The thing is, it's I don't really see much of the stuff that I did in film school affect my YouTube stuff necessarily. Oh wow, I just had a revelation just now on the Create Unknown podcast. You can't wait to make the perfect thing, you know? A lot of the time, if you just do it and then move on to the next project, and this could probably apply to a lot of stuff, you'll just get better through that process. Boom.
Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown. I am Kevin Lieber. This is the home of Make Something Mean Something. We have been rolling every Wednesday night live on Discord, 6 p.m. Eastern, with great guests, with our great patrons live in the chat, our dumpster crew, our $2 tots, our infantry, our illustrious baby gang. We now have people who are buying a year worth of $2 tot up front for only $20, which seems to me, Matt, like the deal of a century.
It is. An annual sub is a smart move. I mean, right now, everybody's talking about GameStop making them money. Well, the annual sub is going to pay off to a much stronger degree than the people who have played the GameStop market really well.
Yeah, no bailout required.
Kevin, I wanted to point out, we've talked about sponsors a lot on this show and partners and things like that. And we've had some swings and misses. We really wanted to be partners with Gamer Sups, but we said no when we found out they weren't gamer suppositories. So that was very disappointing. But we've been working with Electro Voice, who makes microphones. We're on the Electro Voice RE20. Kevin's got the black. He's got the new model. It just dropped in November. And I've got the putty. It goes with the aesthetic of my coom cave here. But these are just outstanding microphones so far, and we're excited to talk about them for a little while, episode after episode, as we break them in, as we get used to them and see how it sounds. Have you noticed anything between the old mic and the RE20, Kevin?
Oh, it sounds much nicer. And I don't know if we ever talked about the mics that we were using before, so I think we're free to not throw anybody under any sort of microphone bus.
They were nice, though. They were good mics. We had good mics.
They were good mics. Yeah. These are better mics.
These are better mics. Yeah. Yeah. And they cut out background noise extremely well. I have a little space heater that runs when it's deathly cold, and the little hum of that seems to get cut out. So that's very cool. But yeah, we're going to talk a bit about these as the season goes on. But we have a guest tonight, don't we?
We do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest tonight?
Okay. Theodore Kennedy Nivison Jr. goes by Ted, and his online moniker of Ted Nivison is distinctly different from the incorrect Ted Nivision, which too many people on Twitter recently learned. Ted streams, makes YouTube videos, and collabs with a host of complementary talents, such as Jschlatt and Slimecicle. They all go back to the star-crossed, ill-fated lunch club, fart club, goop days. And by the time this interview drops, the three of them will have released their first episode of the podcast Chuckle Sandwich, brand new. They've got 40,000 YouTube subscribers and another 35,000 Twitter followers, despite not actually having put anything out yet. This is a tremendous testament to their popularity and their rabid fan bases. Ted is also something of an expert on milk, with milk showing up as a theme in a significant portion of his videos. He's a milkman himself. He's a milkman in his U2's Statuette. He's released a wildly popular Incorrect History of Milk video in his merch line with designer Leighton Stollard, who's worked with H3, H3, and Jontron, is called The Good Stuff Milk and Company. Ted has said, I just do whatever the F ... I think is funny. And that mindset has delivered us videos about accidentally eating a 400 milligram edible, determining which cereal is the worst, and creating the ultimate nut butter. When he talks about grilling, he channels his inner middle-aged dad, and he's talked about cursed food from childhood. So Ted, if you have kids in the future, what cursed food are you going to feed them to make sure they'll regret the experience decades later?
Oh my God. I'm being thrown on the spot here. Cursed food that they're going to regret a million years later. I'm going to probably feed them broccoli just broccoli. I don't know. I didn't like broccoli when I was a kid, so I probably would consider that cursed. But I guess, oh man, cursed. I suppose, you know what? Cosmic brownies. From their
brownies?
They're these brownie little.
Is that a Little Debbie thing?
Yeah, it's a Little Debbie thing. Oh
yeah,
and they're intensely dense little brownie things. I don't know how they make them, but they're these square brownies that they've got these little pieces of candy on top of them that make it look like stars in the starry night. And they're not good at all, but I don't know why they haven't been removed from the shelves, but they're pretty cursed, I would say. Cosmic brownies.
They're almost like a really dense fudge, aren't they? Am I remembering these right?
Yeah, I suppose they're really fudgy. Yeah. Bit of a fudge situation going on there.
There's always somebody who loves these though. There's something like with the Little Debbie cakes and snacks and all of that, there's always someone who's like, oh, that one's my favorite. So I'm sure there are cosmic brownie fans out there. Yeah,
I will say that I do like the coffee cake ones that they have, because those actually taste like something. I don't know, something about the cosmic brownies, something's off there. All right, I'm saying that we look into that. We get an investigation going on. All right.
Can I give you a broccoli fact? Hold on.
Thing.
Can I give you a broccoli fact? Because it's the only thing I know about broccoli, and this is the only chance I'm going to be able to provide this information to the world. Okay. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and kohlrabi all come from the same plant.
What?
Yes. Thank you. Is that not an amazing thing to know? It's a great fact. No one tells you this.
Wait.
I feel like this can't be true.
It is true.
Cauliflower and broccoli come from the same thing?
Yeah, they are all descended from a single plant. And it's just like crossbreeding and messing with this one plant gives you
Let me raise you this.
Those different vegetables.
Let me raise you this. Did you know that cashews come from an apple?
What?
Called a cashew apple?
No.
Yes, they grow on a tree and they come from a cashew apple. That's where cashews come from.
Does anyone eat does the apple taste like cashews? Is the apple good? Why are we not making cashew apple pie?
I'm pretty sure that the actual apple itself, the cashew apple, is poisonous, because I'm pretty sure cashews have like cyanide in them or something.
Probably tannin. A lot of nuts have tannin in them that has to be removed, or it's going to go pretty badly with your stomach.
Oh yeah, that's almonds.
Almonds have cyanide.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do believe that there's some aspect of cashews that is a little bit not good for the tum, as they say.
If you Google this, the cashew apple looks like a weird, like Willy Wonka fruit pooping out a cashew.
Yeah, or it could be a alien, I don't know, butt plug.
I looked at the picture and I thought, oh, this kind of looks like a little bit of a weird yellow squash, but something
it could be a squash,
different.
But I'm thinking alien
very
butt
different
plug
happened.
right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
different.
this is wild, though. I didn't
different
know this at
colors.
all, and it looks really interesting. And if you're listening to this on audio, it's worth a Google. It's worth looking up the cashew fruit. And
Yeah,
see
I
what
have a
this thing
tendency
is.
I have a tendency to mention visual things while on podcasts. It's sort of a talent of mine. I like screwing over the audio listeners. That's my favorite thing to do.
Have you had cashew cheese, though? It says on Wikipedia that you can process this fruit into cashew cheese.
Cashew cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I don't want to have that. That sounds gross. That doesn't even count as cheese. I feel like cheese should be, going back to my roots here, I feel like cheese should be derived from dairy if we're going to call it cheese. I think other than that, it's got to be called something different. It's got to be called, like, I don't know, fermented block of something fun.
That's very catchy.
Yeah, like a cashew fermented block of something fun. And it requires that sort of emphasis in the sentence of something fun.
It's a large package just to label it and get all the words on there.
Yeah, no, it's something I'd expect I'd see from Trader Joe's.
You can have non-dairy cheese. I mean, other than the stuff that like vegans, is that what vegans eat? I don't know what vegans do with their lives.
I don't know what vegans are even doing, man.
Eating cashew
I'll
cheese.
tell you. I mean, but the problem is with calling something non-dairy cheese is that cheese is by definition a dairy product. So how do it's derived from milk. That's why they call it cheese. But if you say non-dairy cheese, it's not cheese anymore. So why are you saying even cheese? It's a linguistic issue, and it needs to be solved. Is it your position
that non-dairy creamer is not creamer because it's non-dairy?
It doesn't make things creamy. It makes it full. It makes it full of something, but not dairy. That's for sure. And this is an issue that we need to solve here on the Create Unknown podcast. That's why I came on. I didn't tell you guys this, but I came on because I am here to solve an issue, and that's with non-dairy creamer and the like, and cheese. I'm pissed.
Tom Videoger, who is in the infantry. Tom is quick with links. Ted, he's very fast if you got the episode chat open. But look, he pops up this non-dairy creamer thing. It says commonly called tea whitener or coffee whitener.
There you go.
That's suspiciously racist. That's very strange. That's just an odd way to describe anything.
I mean, it does make it a lightener? Tea lightener?
I guess.
So we don't include the color aspect of it? So we don't... I don't know. It's better than calling it non-dairy creamer because then...
It's awfully clinical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tea paint, I'm seeing as an option.
Got some decent suggestions in here.
Yeah. So that's my opinion on cheeses and such and the like.
I think that they're called that because they're replacing a specific item. So you're led to understand that it's a replacement for this item. I don't think it's anything more than that.
That's fair. I can't really argue with that. Damn. I really can't argue with that. Actually, that's an astute point, and I hate you for it. God.
Well, we've accomplished the goal of having you on, so I think we're done here.
Right.
I think we.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Had a wonderful time.
Made a new enemy.
Yeah. I have a new goal. It's to take down these damn companies selling the non-dairy creamer, and we're going to do it in 6 months. By the end of 6 months, it's going to be like how Reddit recently took down an entire hedge fund.
Yeah. That dominated the Twitter headlines, but I don't know a whole lot about what happened with that. I just know that it involved them calling in shorted stocks on GameStop.
Yeah,
right?
I recently learned what shorted stocks are, but I guess basically there was this one dude, and he was like, basically what they do is they make a call on a shorted stock, so they're guessing and putting money on the fact that the stock is going to go down. And then what he did was then he released some articles, and he was like talking about how GameStop is obsolete. It's not going to do well and stuff. And I guess the people on Reddit were pissed off that there were people out there who were making these bets on companies that are bound to fail. And they decided to screw these guys over and buy a bunch of the stock and make it go up. And then I guess the people who are in these short positions, I don't know entirely how it works, but I guess when it starts to go down, you're sort of forced into a position where you have to buy more, which in turn made the price of it go up even more. So now everyone's buying the stock, and then then it's getting in the news and the media, and people are like, oh, I guess I got to buy, I don't know why, but I guess I got to buy GameStop stock. So they're buying it. And then I guess there was this one dude who put like $50,000 into it in August, and he's made more than $15 million on GameStop. And it wasn't even related to what happened recently. He just happened to have like his life savings in GameStop for some reason. And I don't know why someone would put their life savings in GameStop in 2020, but I mean, it's just one of those situations where it's like, hey, you're now a multi-millionaire. Congratulations. You know, you now have to worry about estate tax.
He knew something that we didn't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Salute him.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me this never happened before, you know?
Well, it used to happen a long time ago. It used to happen in the 90s with, AOL chat rooms back then, Yahoo chat rooms. People would artificially pump penny stocks, usually, the ones that trade on the pink sheets, because, you know, you can get percentage changes in a penny stock that are just immense. You know, if you want to try to, other than today with GameStop. I mean, normally though, if you wanted to try to move the stock price of a legitimate stock that's on NASDAQ or something like that, you know, maybe you could get it 5 or 10%. Well, if the shares are a few cents, then a 1 cent movement might be 35% of the share price. So they would talk up these stocks in these, cruddy little chat rooms across the internet and, make fake stock tips and things like that. And people would start buying it. And then the guy who pumped it up would sell and be happy with his 40% profit. And that kind of became a thing with the chat rooms and eventually forums that was severely frowned upon. And now people are talking again about how, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about trading on Reddit and places like that. So it's an age-old problem that's resurfaced. It always goes in a cycle.
How did they stop the AOL chat rooms from doing it?
I don't know. I don't remember the intervention on that, if there was one. I mean, you can't stop people from talking about this stuff, whether it's, on WhatsApp or whatever. Nobody would even know, and there's no way on the encrypted apps to combat this. So when people talk about like, we have to regulate the online talk about stocks. All right, good luck.
Yeah, that seems like a restriction on free speech. Although I suppose like making a group that's sole purpose is to change the direction of stocks would be market manipulation. I feel like pretty straight up, right? But
yeah.
Other than that, I don't really see, because there's companies, large companies that already do this. It's just that they don't do it on a subreddit, right? They do like practically the same thing where they yeah. Am I wrong?
No,
so what company would we, AMC I see is popping off now. GameStop, obviously, the past couple days. Who's next? Who should, what random failing business should get propped up by Reddit?
Huh.
I called my broker today and I said, there's a new startup that I'm into. I want you to cash me out of everything. And I want you to put it all into Chuckle sandwich.
Good transition. I like that. Yes, indeed.
It's
new
promising.
Startup. Chuckle sandwich. Yeah. Should I start talking about it?
Yeah. Tell us about what it is and how it evolved with the miscreants you've assembled.
Oh, okay. Well, so I guess I'll start off with the name. So Chuckle Sandwich, I originally was in an improv group when I was in high school called Chuckle Sandwich. And then I've always liked the name. I originally, when the late lunch club was being formed originally, one of the ideas that I put forward was doing Chuckle Sandwich, because it was one of those things where, it'd been like it's been 5 years since I graduated high school. I don't even think that Chuckle Sandwich at the high school is still going on. So I was like, this is such a good name. I can't let it just fall into the ether like nothing. And I can just think of so many ways that like the branding of it could be so fun. So I've always kind of had that in the back of my head. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, I was in a call with Charlie and Jschlatt, and I was talking to them about how I wanted to make a podcast, and I just didn't really know where to start because I didn't really want to make a podcast by myself where I was just the only host. Because I don't know, I would just struggle with that, I feel like. And then one of them mentioned, it was like, oh, well, if you want to make a podcast and just run it, we'll happily be a part of that and stuff. So essentially I was like, okay. So I talked to an artist on getting together some branding for it. I talked to like my manager about throwing something together. And then like over the last like 2 weeks, I just kind of threw together a podcast with the two of those guys. And we just recorded our first episode yesterday. And I feel like the response to it is pretty cool because people, I haven't been on a part of a podcast in a while. They both have their own podcasts. So really this podcast is pretty much run by me, but with the two of them just joining in on every week as like co-hosts. But yeah, Chuckle sandwich, bada bing, bada boom.
How often are you going to record?
We're gonna film podcasts just like once a week, and then I'll just like send it off to the editor that I have set up for it, and then we'll just post it. I think we're gonna like record on like Mondays and then post it on Saturdays, I think is how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Sounds
good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
I'm amazed that Jschlatt has time for that. It seems like all of you guys do so many different projects.
Yeah, kinda. I feel like it definitely appears that way at the outside. But me personally, like I literally do. I honestly should be really doing more because like I don't really post videos at all on either of my channels as often as I probably should. But the two of them, they're both pretty busy. They've got their mojo going right now. But I'm trying to get back into that.
Why don't you post more?
It's funny because I was actually before I came on this podcast today, I was actually writing a video that I'm going to be posting about I might be posting it. I'm writing the script for it, but it's like, I would be talking about, why I don't post videos often. And I think part of it is because for the longest time I was in college and I didn't necessarily have the time to post videos. So whenever I did have time, it was like YouTube was my hobby, but it was also my job. So it was a weird thing where it was like, I would always do it in my free time and I would use that free time to the most of my ability. And then I would, post videos as much as I could, which ended up being like a once a month, maybe twice a month kind of situation. But then since I had that enough time to focus on one video and making it as good as possible, I feel like I must have set myself in a position where I started to get to the point where how do I even say this? I like boxed myself into this zone that I had a very high standards for the types of videos I wanted to make and like very high standards for what a good idea would be. And I think that, I really started thinking about this hard recently about why I did this to myself. Cause it was like, it ended up being sort of one of the I guess symptoms of what would be considered quote unquote imposter syndrome. And one of them is like the perfectionism kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And like that causes me to procrastinate a lot on like releasing a new video. So I just kind of, I don't know, I'm working on my way to get out of that, Yeah. And it's a weird zone to be within, especially because I think that if I was younger, like 3 years ago, and I saw how many subscribers I have now, and then me now was like to my younger self, oh yeah, I don't really post that often because I'm afraid that my videos are not going to be good enough or whatever. I'd probably have a screaming match with myself and be like, you fucking dumbass, what the hell are you doing? So I kind of have to try to remind myself of like what position I'm in sometimes because it's, it's weird.
Isn't there something to be said though of spreading out comedy? I think of stand-up comics who have specials, Dave Chappelle, how many has he put out in the last couple of years? Not very many, like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome to me. I don't know if it would be, well, I do know it would be awesome if he did it constantly because I love Chappelle's show, but like somebody being funny every week, twice a week, as opposed to some really, really good stuff less frequently. That's got to have some value, right? Like
I definitely agree.
Put
it
a
does.
thing out. It's very good.
I think the difference between, Dave Chappelle releasing a special every now and then is that special is going on Netflix, and Netflix is going to throw that in the front page for everyone to see, and then we've, us being on the online nomads that we are, sifting through cyberspace, we've got to deal with the algorithm dragons. And a lot of the time, when you don't post very often, then YouTube starts to kind of punish that, which is kind of a interesting way to get a bit of anxiety.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It does sound like you're overthinking it a little bit, though. And you're in your head. You're in your head on it.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. I am totally, absolutely in on my head on this kind of stuff, which is funny too, because for the longest time, I'd seen this happen to other people in the past, and I had always been telling myself, oh, that's never going to be me. I'm never going to get in that position. And then one day I'm like, oh shit, I am. So it's definitely an interesting thing.
How long does it usually take you to make a video?
I would say maybe like at least more than 10 hours, because it takes me like more than 8 hours to edit a video of mine. So it's got to be like maybe 15 hours, maybe 15 plus, I'd say. Because then I gotta do the research for the type of video that I want to do. If it's like a cooking video, it doesn't take necessarily as long to get that kind of stuff together. But some of the stuff like the terrible movie videos, or maybe like a story video, I have to gather together all the evidence, or like the script and stuff. And then it's the normal workflow of like something like that, where it's like, and then I film, and then I edit it. But I'd say like more than 15 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. If you want to like chat sometime and just bounce ideas, I'm totally open to doing that.
No worries.
You know what I mean?
I don't want to sound like I'm like complaining about about anything right now. I was just, I thought I would just be like speak openly about, that kind of stuff, because I feel like a lot of people.
They're hard hours though.
What's up?
Like, they're hard hours. I don't think people realize what an hour of work like that feels like.
Oh,
It's
definitely long.
It's just not the same. Yeah, it's not the same as like, I read for 15 hours, or like, when I
played
work
video
outside
games for 15 hours. It's definitely a lot easier to do that.
It's not the same. It's like even just doing normal work, whatever, for 2 hours compared to 2 hours of recording this podcast. Like, these are two completely different experiences. And so, 15 may not sound like a ton, but it's kind of like running for 15 hours. That's a hard thing on your body. That's like hyper marathon.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of breaking news, by the way. Real quick, I want to interject this. Discord has shut down the subreddit Wall Street Bets for hate speech, glorifying violence, and spreading misinformation.
Oh, nice, Discord. Hell
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
I love to see it. What the hell? Hate speech?
They say, to be clear, we did not ban this server due to financial fraud related to GameStop or other stocks. This is coming from Slasher.
They're calling it financial fraud too. Wow. That's bold.
I think Slasher is probably right about this. He's missed a few times, but yeah, I think this one's probably accurate.
Wow.
Slasher doesn't miss very often, though.
Do you know why Dr. Disrespect got banned?
I don't. I
do
not.
Well, Slasher promised all of us that a long, long time ago, and then we never heard anything again. So when I think of Slasher, I think of that.
He follows me now. Maybe I should message him for the goods. I should message him and say, give me what I need, Slasher.
The Verge reported on this. It's definitely real.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's wild. And that just popped like 10 minutes ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but let's combine these two things. So I was curious, Ted, as you were talking about milk stocks.
Yeah.
And there are actually quite a few. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a second page of these. Looks like another 8. If you want to invest in milk, it seems like you can do it in a roundabout way, like Smucker's, Eli Lilly and Company.
Smucker's has
Coca-Cola
milk?
has a milk division.
The jelly people?
Yeah.
Smuckers? Like the folks that make the Uncrustables?
Yeah.
The legendary
Yeah,
Uncrustable brand.
Oh, this is wild. This is wild. So
Smucker's milk.
ETFs are what is it? Exchange traded funds. So it's kind of like a collection of stocks. Okay, and it can be, they're all kind of related in some way. And there are. I just found a milk ETF. That's wild. You could invest in.
What's an ETF?
Milk. Like a collection of stocks where you're kind of investing in the sector because it combines them all together, like a little tiny fund of like-minded, strategically like-minded stocks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the Power Shares Dynamic Food and Beverage ETF is essentially investing in milk.
The people who own Smuckers also own Dunkin' Donuts.
What?
Do they really?
Yeah, I'm looking at the JM Smucker Company, and they own Robin Hood, they own Jif, they own Meow Mix, Milk Bone, and Smuckers Uncrustables. And also Cafe Bustelo, but I don't know what the fuck that. Also Folgers.
Folgers. Those are coffee brands.
I know what I realized the massive mistake I made as it was coming out of my mouth. As it came out, I was like, that wasn't the right way to say it. Oh no. I've been forever immortalized saying Folgers.
Are people who invest in milk milkers? Are they big milkers?
I'd say that they're part of the milk legion. They're part of the milk zone, and they're enlightened.
If your mom bought shares in this milk ETF, would she be a mommy milker?
I don't like the fact that you're asking if my mom would be a mommy milker. That's the first trepidation I have with that, but I guess technically, yeah. I can't say no to that.
But hey, you mentioned Uncrustables. I have to be honest, I've never actually eaten one. Am I missing out on something here?
You're not that much, because what's funny about Uncrustables is that they do sort of have a crust still. They have a seam around. It's like a circular patty that has peanut butter and jelly inside of it, but there is a seam.
Oh, okay.
And I think personally it counts as a crust. So take that as you will. I don't think that there ever really will be a true Uncrustable unless they figure out how to inject peanut butter and jelly into a seamless ball, like a peanut butter and jelly ball. Then that would be a true Uncrustable because it'd be a sphere.
At what point does a border or a seam become a crust? Where do you draw the line?
I just like the idea of no edges. I think that the reason why people don't like crust is because of the edge. They don't want it to end. But, with this patented Ted Nivison peanut butter and jelly injected sphere, there is no crust. You don't know when it's going to end, and it's gone before you know it, and you want to buy more. And that's the market value right there, folks.
Well, yeah, snowballs. Why don't snowballs make a peanut butter and jelly snowball instead of that pink coconut disaster or whatever it is that snowballs actually are?
Yeah, those things look like Yeti shits.
They're horrible. While we're on the fabulous subject of peanut butter and jelly, can I just lodge a complaint that there was a comparison recently between peanut butter and jelly and beans on bread?
Yes. Beans on toast, yeah.
Beans on toast?
The British.
Yeah.
The British and their foods.
We're saying that peanut butter and jelly was revolting. Where does this come from? It's a perfect food.
I don't understand either because there's a very big difference between beans on toast and peanut butter and jelly. Starting with the beans on toast is bound to get soggy way faster than peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jelly gets soggy over a course of hours. The only time that you eat a soggy peanut butter and jelly is when it comes out of your lunch bag when you're going to elementary school. But not often do people ever deal with a soggy peanut butter and jelly. There is probably 99% consumption of a soggy beans on toast, unless the bread is really, really tough. And at that point, you're just eating stale bread. So what do they want from us?
I don't know.
I think I think a big part of the issue is how the British prepare beans. Okay, they're not they don't have the kind of molasses injection that we do. They're not as sweet. That's what I'm getting to. And I think this hits both sides of the equation here. I think they see peanut butter and jelly and they're like, oh, you can't mix this savory peanut stuff with the sweet jam. And the beans on toast part, it just tastes a little different than if we took like Bush's baked beans and
I'm seeing the
just
post.
dump them on toast.
Mr. Tom here linked the post that started it all. And the peanut butter and jelly example that they provided in this tweet is probably the grossest looking peanut butter and jelly I've ever seen in my life.
Why?
It's
I
sloppy.
think it looks great.
It's very
a sloppy PB&J, whereas you could make a very crisp PB&J, but there is no situation in which you can make a non-sloppy beans on toast. It is destined for slop.
Yeah. It is slop. That's what that food is. And it's okay. I'm okay with slop, but don't come crashing down on my PB&J parade, because I mean, it's a cheap, delicious, like repeatable, you can eat every day food that yes, if you're going to make it like a sloppy, weird looking thing, then maybe it can look unappealing, but you could do that with anything. You could make tacos or pizza or a burger. You can make anything look disgusting. That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it is.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what the argument here is, because I feel like at the end of the day, I think that it's pretty obvious that the British people are wrong 100% of the time. They lost the war. So, I mean, what is there even to talk about?
Did either of your parents ever make you eat shit on a shingle?
I've never had, my parents have never made me eat feces before now.
No.
Tom, I'm sure you can find this, so get quick with the link. It's like creamed chipped beef on toast, and it's
holy shit,
it was
Tom's
popular
fast.
in the Navy. Yeah, he is incredibly fast. But yeah, there we go. We have shit on a shingle. And God, talking about cursed foods and terrible childhood foods, that's fighting for number one on my list. Is the nights when we ate shit on a shingle.
It looks like meat and cum on bread.
Why would you call it that? You could call it anything.
I mean, it's called shitting on a shingle. So
No,
I mean,
I know. No, I'm not complaining with your description of it. I'm complaining with the original title of
I
the
would
meal.
think it would be as equally appropriate to call it meat and cum on bread then. A
At that
classic
point.
American military dish. A military dish. How many military dishes do you guys know? What is a military dish? They just ate it in the military?
It's something that you can prepare at scale, and that's the beauty of shit on a shingle, is that you have this cream.
I don't think that there's anything beautiful about shit on a shingle. Let's be honest here.
That's the beauty.
You have this big cream base that is probably in like a 10-gallon bucket, and you dump that in and heat it up, and you just, it's like shaved chipped beef.
Chipped beef, 2 teaspoons butter, 2 teaspoons flour, 1/3 cups milk skim. So quite literally the stuff that you skim off of the milk when you are making milk that is skim milk. Skim milk is is using the milk that you skim off of what becomes skim milk, correct? I think. And then ground pepper and 2 slices of bread. Interesting.
Yeah. But you could make that for 200 people in 15 minutes. You know, that's the beauty of it for the military aspect, is you can just feed loads of people, and you can serve it very fast too, because I grab the bread and then you just spoon this slop on top of it. But
it definitely
I hated it. I really disliked it.
So it's not even good.
I don't like it, but I think it's one of those tastes that is really bad for kids. Like, you know how
when was the last time you had it?
Oh, it's been 20 plus years.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, last time I had it was in the 90s for sure.
Because you probably wouldn't have liked bruschetta as a kid either.
Exactly. Yes. What's that? Is that in a part of the brain? Like, I know that with seafood, with clams and shrimp and stuff like that.
Stuff. It's savory. The savory flavor, I think.
Is that what develops over time?
Yeah, I think that kids really like sweet stuff, like sweet flavors, sour flavors, but I think savory is that's the acquired taste.
Yeah, I bet I would like it now because I really like country.
You probably
gravy.
wouldn't. You
know,
probably
like a Cracker
wouldn't have
Barrel.
liked goat cheese as much when you were a kid either. But goat cheese is fucking awesome.
I disliked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it now, and I hated it.
There was this one
the first
restaurant
time
that I
had
had this really awesome goat cheese baklava from. That shit fucks. Oh man, it's good, dude. I'd kill a man for another slice of goat cheese baklava. Oh man.
Why can't you go back? Is it far away?
No, it's not far away. It's just expensive.
What is baklava?
You can't make that at home?
Oh, I'm sure I could figure out how to make it, but it's nice when you don't have to do that. That's one thing that I've gotten into a bad habit of as well. Speaking of bad habits, and Ted, I have been really, really inefficient at cooking for myself, but very efficient at ordering Postmates. And that's if there's anything that I could say would be a YouTuber problem when you get larger on the platform, it's just that it's just so easy to not make food for yourself and order it. Jschlatt does this thing where he orders Wendy's all the time. I don't know why he likes Wendy's so much, but he's been ordering Wendy's all the time. And I do this thing where I have a Taco Bell thing. I really like Taco Bell. So
when
we
once
had
you read Jschlatt on, he was in the middle of eating his Postmates meal.
Was he eating Wendy's?
He wasn't eating Wendy's. He was eating boneless wings from someplace.
I think he must have been lying to you. I think it was Wendy's. I think he was just ashamed.
Wendy's boneless wings.
Yeah.
I didn't know what baklava actually was. Tom Videoger in the chat. And listen, if anybody is not allowed in the chat, but you're listening right now,
I believe
live
it's a
on
Turkish
Discord,
dish.
just go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown, become a $2 tot, and then you can join the chat. And you can see all of these links. So baklava looks like
it's a Turkish dish,
like a
I
slider.
believe.
It's like
that
a little
photo, I think, is a little bit misleading.
Okay.
I believe
so it's like a puffy pastry.
It's usually a dessert of some sort, but I think the goat cheese baklava is a little bit of a bastardization of what baklava actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it was kind of like a little appetizer kind of situation. But it's good. Yeah, it's got like it's good shit.
Ted, did you move? Are you still in New York or did you move to LA?
No, I moved to LA I got here in September and I've been here since.
That's the Postmates curse, man. You moved to LA and now you get Postmates.
Yeah, because there wasn't
the LA
Postmates definitely wasn't a thing. In New York, they don't really have Postmates out there. They have DoorDash though.
Not in that
section.
So
I will say that when I was in New York, I was ordering from DoorDash when I was in Ithaca. But so it actually really hasn't changed. It's just the app that I use has been what changed. And sometimes I use DoorDash too. So it's like, I switch too. It's bad.
For clarity's sake, with the audience, Ithaca is in New York's Finger Lakes region, which butts up against Paradise, that is the central Leatherstocking region. But there's not a whole lot of activity around when it comes to food delivery. I've actually never had a single thing delivered to my house, and it's not available anywhere. So that keeps me from postmating. I don't mate at all. I don't Uber Eat.
Why did you say
I don't do any of these things.
Wait, you don't mate? That's like the worst.
Isn't that what it's called when you order from Postmates?
No, nobody says, oh yeah, I'm going to go mate real quick. I'm going to do a quick mate. I'm going to order myself a quick mate. Sounds like you're breeding.
Yeah, I was going to say it's some sort of Animal Planet After Dark action.
They tack that $3.99 charge every time you mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Ithaca's got, in that area, Ithaca is pretty much like, Ithaca would count as like a city over there.
Yeah, it's big enough. It certainly is.
Yeah, so they've got like plenty of like restaurants that you can order from. So it was pretty nice. I definitely do miss how cheap my rent was in Ithaca for sure.
Compared to LA.
But I don't miss the winter. Oh my God. It was weird at first when I didn't experience like fall or winter. And it was strange coming back to Massachusetts for the holidays and seeing, snow and being like, oh, it's winter. I forgot about that. But it is really, really nice because I get to go. I've been doing this new thing where I get to go on walks all the time. I've become a daily walker. And I know that sounds super lame. And I know it sounds like, oh, that is the most normal thing ever. But it is somewhat revolutionary for me because I sit on a computer all day. And I was like, what if I don't want to run. What if I just walk? And I looked it up. And it turns out you can actually burn some serious calories if you walk for long enough.
You looked up walking.
I looked up walking as a potential, does it actually do something for you? I know that because I know that they say to walk 10,000 steps a day and all that, but nobody believes that. It's all horseradish. I like to say.
It is. That's a marketing ploy.
Yeah, it's a marketing ploy for big walk.
No, it is. It actually is. I know the origin of that.
Really? Is that
Kevin? Didn't you have an awkward conversation about this 10,000 step thing?
I had such an awkward. So, I don't know how specific I want to get. I don't have to get too specific. I was in a
You
scenario.
Can keep it generic.
Yeah, I was in a scenario in which I had to make small talk. Let's just make it that generic. I was in a situation where I had to make small talk, and this person was talking about getting her steps in. And as someone who just reads things all day because it interests me, I had read the origins of the 10,000 steps a day idea or concept. And it turns out that it was a mistranslation from a Japanese step counter. It just said like 10K or 10,000 or something on the bracelet. And people just took that idea and then ran with it. And they're just like, oh, 10K, 10,000 on this step counter. That must mean that you have to get 10,000 steps a day on the pedometer. And it was not based on like some sort of medical study or fitness study of like optimal steps for the human. It was literally just like a marketing thing. But now everybody knows it. So it was an amazing marketing thing. And people think that it's this magic number that you have to step 10,000 times a day in order to be healthy.
According to this article that Tom had linked, apparently 15,000 is the magic number.
Oh,
what?
Who walks that much?
15,000.
Really? Like, I agree with you on that because I will walk for like a straight up 40 minutes and I will get, maybe 6,000 steps out of it. So you really need to set aside. You need to set aside almost
3 hours,
like maybe 2 hours a day, 2.5 hours to walk, which is why I've been trying to wake up earlier so I can actually do longer and longer walks.
This was my question is, do you walk at a certain time? Do you walk early in the day? Do you walk late at night?
Here's my qualm. I am a sleeper. I like to sleep. I like to drift off into the dream world and dance with the stars. But unfortunately, I also really enjoy either the concept or the vibe of the mornings. I very much so enjoy making myself a cup of tea, and the light is different and mornings smell different. This is true. Try it out. Folks at home, if you wake up early in the morning, maybe 7 or 8 a.m., go outside and smell the air. It smells different and it smells a little better, refreshing. So I want to walk in the mornings is what I'm saying. Yeah.
I forgot to tell you the end of my story. So.
Oh yeah, say the end of the story.
I was explaining to this person that the 10,000 steps was there was it was a facade essentially. It was not based on science. They got really mad at me and it was super awkward. It turned into like a Curb Your Enthusiasm sort of like Seinfeld situation where all of a sudden I was like apologizing for telling her this information or like trying to explain like, so what are you saying? Like, it's bad to walk 10,000 steps? I'm like, no, not that it's bad. Just that it's like, that's not a number that's based upon anything. And it went really poorly, really quickly.
You know what you should have done?
It was very awkward.
You know what you should have done?
What?
You should have socked him in the face and said, put that on your pedometer. And then walked away, and they would have been fuming because you would have been walking, and they think that they own walking, but they don't.
No,
do you call it anything? Do you call this because Kevin and I had a friend? a long, long time ago, Kevin worked with him. His name was Lee. And Lee was one of those guys who, I think it's fair to describe him as having been maybe 53 years old from the moment he was like 8.
Like he had bad bones?
No. Physically completely healthy and fine, but just mannerisms were on the older side. And he would wake up very early every day so that he could have a cup of coffee and take his morning constitutional.
What?
And
is that him taking a shit?
Well, I've heard it used a couple ways. I've heard people use it for that. But it's meant to be a walk with your constitution being your body health and all of that.
Okay.
And so the constitutional is something to keep that body in good working order.
I like that.
But
like that. I'll probably start using that actually.
The morning constitutional?
Yeah, I love that. That's hilarious. It's just so like the sentence itself is just so overcomplicated. It does not need to be that like that's just over the top. It's just like it's not like you're writing an essay or something. You're going on a walk.
Very aristocratic.
Yeah, aristocratic. I like that.
I thought it was going to the bathroom. I didn't know it was taking a walk.
I thought it was eating shit on a shingle.
Every morning at like 6 a.m.
I gotta have my morning constitution, also known as getting in my shit on a shingle.
Oh man. Let's go back to nut butter.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I watched your nut butter video today, and part of what I really liked about it was just how exhausted the both of you were by the process.
Oh my God, we were so exhausted.
Kind of the most entertaining bit of it.
A lot of the times when I go into a video, I don't really know how long it's going to take, especially when it's one of those projects where I'm trying to make the ultimate or do this or do that or whatever. And I bought a food processor because I looked up online and it said you can make pretty much any butter out of any nut as long as you just throw it in a food processor and you let it go for long enough. And I was like, oh, okay, 5 minutes per nut thing, that shouldn't be too long. It ended up taking, I think the whole recording, like from the time I started to the time I was finished recording that day, it must have been like 6 hours of doing that. And it wasn't necessarily like, I've been on film sets before. I've been on 12-hour film sets before, but it was just the fact that we had started at like 8 or 7 or 8 p.m. So it was pretty early in the morning by the time that we had ended. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm pretty sure. And it was, and the thing is, the nut butter that we made at the end wasn't really that incredible. It was just it's just a general sort of nutty malaise going on. Yeah.
Nutty malaise.
But that was the last video that I shot in Ithaca, I think, actually. That was the last one.
Yeah, you mentioned that a couple times in the video that you would be moving in 4 days, I think it was.
Yeah, it was right before I was out of there. So it was, it was the guy I did it with was my roommate, Harrison. I had done another video with him before, and then we decided, I was going to make one more video with him, and then, I actually...
Well, he's a trooper for sitting there for 6 hours while you grinded nuts.
Yeah, no, he definitely... He definitely is. He was being a real homie by helping me out with the video. I think it's because he thinks I'm hip. He thinks I'm hip enough to do that.
But the nut butter looked good. I mean, it.
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty good.
Pretty solid.
It was vastly dangerous for anyone that has an allergy to any type of nut because it was one of those things where when you look at a packaging and saying this was processed in a factory that also processes nuts. Like if I were to put a label on it, it would be this was processed in an area that every single nut in existence was involved. Stay away from this if you have a nut allergy. God help your soul. Like that's just, for anyone who has an allergy, that's just like straight up poison, right?
Would you do it again though?
Would I go through the process of making that video again?
Would you make any of the nut butters?
I would probably make the peanut butter. The peanut butter worked really well. I think there's a reason why peanut butter is so popular is because it's also just really easy to make. Like, well, I think that the thing is about peanut butter is it's got some oils in it that make it so naturally. It grinds together so well, and it definitely became the creamiest out of any of them. Some of the nuts that we had to add some peanut oil to, or some sort of like vegetable oil or whatever. But the peanut butter or the peanuts at the beginning, it turned to the butter the fastest, and it was the easiest. It was straight up the easiest. So I would probably make peanut butter again.
Was it better than jarred peanut butter? Is it worth the trouble to make your own peanut butter? That's what I need to know.
I think that there's an appeal to the jarred peanut butter, like the Jif, because you don't get normal peanut butter does not look like what Jif looks like. Jif has just this ability to you could make a statue of Jif and it would probably stay upright. There's something weird going on with Jif.
Jif art
where it doesn't, but the normal peanut butter, it's more liquidy, and I feel like it makes you. It feels a little more crunchy granola when you have it. So if you want to feel closer to God, I suppose, then have some homemade peanut butter. If you're trying to get closer to God, have some homemade peanut butter. That's my final answer. Lock it in, baby.
That's good advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I got YouTube TV the other day for the trial, so I could watch football.
Oh.
And and I saw commercials for the first time since last year when I did a trial to watch football. And one of the commercials was for Jif in this squeezable thing instead of a jar. Have you guys seen this?
Jif, like the peanut butter in a squeezable thing? Yes,
it's sort of like a pouch, like a Capri Sun that squirts peanut butter. I couldn't believe this. I looked at it. I'm like, this is what happens on TV after a year of not watching. There, we got it in the chat. Squeeze creamy peanut butter from Jif.
That seems pretty easy. That seems like a good road trip item, because you don't want to be pulling out a knife. If you're making a peanut butter jelly sandwich or just a peanut butter sandwich in the car, you're not going to want to take out a knife and have to stick that in the jar and move it all around and then have it maybe fall off and hit you in the face. And then you got peanut butter on your face and then you crash the car and die.
Wow. True. That would definitely happen.
Which is, I think that's the market that this is targeting, is lack of peanut butter based car crash deaths. Mm-hmm. So I like it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
8 what?
What?
Stegosauruses?
Oh,
8 what?
8 out of 10 shit on a shingles.
To me, it's like Go-Gurt. It's like peanut butter Go-Gurt.
Maybe it would make the cosmic brownies better if they put peanut butter on it out of the squeeze jar.
We have peanut butter on the brownies in the chat already. He's that fast.
Well, no, that's what made me think of it is the fact that he was putting peanut butter on the. He's sort of controlling the conversation now rather than reacting to it.
He's pulling the puppet strings.
Yeah,
that's right. It does solve a problem that bothers me with food, and in particular peanut butter, which is it's very hard to get all of it out of a jar. Do you have a trick to get all the peanut butter out of the jar? Because I don't like buying a thing knowing that I'm going to throw 6% of it away. That I won't be able to.
6%? Really? You think 6% is left over?
They've already gotten rid of 6%.
That's a lot.
Don't you understand? They've already gotten rid of 6%. Whenever you see a jar that, have you ever noticed how a lot of these jars have the indentation on the bottom?
Yeah.
That's to save space on plastic and use less product. And it adds up over time. They do this. The same thing with the now 10% larger. Whereas in reality, they've just, I forget what this is. It's a thing. This is a thing, what I'm talking about. It's a thing that companies do where they slowly reduce the size of certain products over time and you get less and less of it.
Oh,
chocolate does this.
Come on, Tom, give us a link, man.
Hershey bars have gotten like 1% smaller. I saw a thing about this. You're
totally
right.
That.
I don't
Tom,
know.
you're breaking my balls here, man. I need a link. Shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation. That's nuts. It's got to happen with cereal as well, because that's something else I haven't had in years. I haven't had cereal in many, many years. And Walgreens had this amazing sale. It was like $2 a box. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll get Fruity Pebbles and a bunch of things that we talked about on the cereal tier list. I'm like, $2 a box. This is good. I'll get 5 or 6. I got them and they're like 10-ounce boxes. It wasn't always like that. You used to get a box and it was huge. and it lasted a long time.
Yeah.
Well, 10 ounces of cereal is like 2 meals.
Yeah.
How many bowls is that? How many bowls is a meal? Is one bowl a meal?
I don't know.
I'd say,
I don't know,
according
Kevin,
to...
how big is your bowl?
Yeah, how big is your bowl, Kevin? Come on, man.
That's a really personal question.
Tell us the size of your bowls, man. What do you
How do you
got
know
going on
what-
in your cabinets?
How do you know how big your bowl is? Because I have a few different. I have like 3 completely different bowl sizes.
Give us the info. Diameter, radius,
I don't know how to
circumference,
describe this.
3.1415, 926535, 8979, 3238462, 6433832795, 502841, 97169399. Come on.
Something like
Can
that.
somebody confirm this?
37510582097499441, baby. Come on.
I don't know. It's impossible to say.
That was
what
as
bowl
much pie
size
as I do know. Those were accurate numbers. Tom can look it up.
How many digits do you think that was?
I don't know. Should we try to count them?
We can count and edit it, but that was a lot. Like
I'll do it again. I'll do it again. 3.141592653589793238462264333841971693993750282097494441 is all I know.
Is all you know.
Is all I know.
I don't know what there was
Oh,
this.
God.
Okay, so
Why?
the source of that is a Gmod video. Gmod video pie. It's about pie, and it's like a robot lady saying it's a song that says pie. And I saw it on YouTube a while back, and I learned to repeat that that amount of numbers, because that's pretty much as far as the video goes, I think. And then it's one of those things where I just know it. It doesn't go away. I still have it, and I'll just pull it out whenever I want.
Are you a numbers guy in general? Do you memorize license plates?
No, I'm not a numbers guy in general. I don't really have the greatest memory necessarily either. I actually have I do have a pretty good memory, but I don't have.
It's all full.
Yeah,
no, you memorize that
totally
one.
I filled out with pie, and I can't get rid of it. But what was I gonna say? I'm not good at math though, so I'm not really a numbers guy. I didn't even take math in my senior year of high school. I avoided it like the plague. And I didn't really take math in college either. I went to school for film, so clearly I don't care about math.
Yeah, you have f-stop numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
Camera.
That's true. But there's only certain situations in which you really need unless a lot of cameras have this sort of the digital interface that does it automatically for you. If you're actually using a light meter and stuff, then maybe you have to do some for action stuff. But other than that, it's nothing crazy. Yeah. Should
YouTubers go to film school?
The thing is, it's like, I don't really see much of the stuff that I did in film school affect my YouTube stuff necessarily. Like, I learned more about how to utilize maybe cameras, but that was mainly from my own interest. Like, when I was in film school, I took upon myself to be a part of the camera checkout zone. We called it PPEX at Ithaca. And that's where we would, students will come in, and everyone has assigned their own equipment for classes, and they'll come in and they'll check it out and stuff. And so I got to work with cameras a lot doing that. And then when I was in LA for a internship, I did like a camera technician internship at a camera rental house in LA. So I worked with some Red cameras and stuff, and Arri cameras. So, but that was all because of stuff that I did on my own necessarily. So when it comes to YouTubers, I don't think it's really necessary at all, because you've got people you can teach so much of your stuff on your own, really. I think that the only situation in which you would need to go to film school, I guess, is if you didn't want to teach yourself. And then at that point, why are you even doing it, Because the reason why I want to go to film school is because I want to learn how to make films. So, in terms of the long run, I would want to be doing films, even after I'm done doing all this YouTube stuff. I want to make films. So that's why I stayed in college too. That's why I finished even when YouTube was going well, was because I wanted to continue to get that experience and have that under my belt and that network as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of films do you want to make?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring that out, because I haven't made a film. I was originally going to make a film. I had already done the casting and stuff for it in New York City in April. And we all know what happened. Is that coronavirus.
Yeah, you got dinged on that.
Yeah. It stopped me from making my thesis film, and I didn't get to make my thesis. I graduated college, but I didn't get to make a thesis, which is a bummer. But I still have the script for it, and I was thinking about just pulling it together and doing it just because it's the, working back to one of the things that, oh wow, I just had a revelation just now on the Create Unknown podcast. The same reason why I don't write scripts or make films is the same reason probably I don't make YouTube videos, is because I want it to be as good as possible the moment it releases, when in reality, probably a more healthier thing to do. And this is for all you ladies and germs out there who are looking to get inspired, is you just got to do it. You can't wait to make the perfect thing, because I spent a lot of time on the script that I was making for school. It's called Buyer's Remorse. It's about a guy that is miserable at his job, and he orders a hitman on himself as a way of, removing himself from the world. But then he meets someone that he has an interest in love-wise, and then but he can't cancel this hitman on himself, so he has to figure out a way to get out of that situation. I spent a lot of time making sure that script was like good, and a lot of the time, if you just do it and then move on to the next project, and this could probably apply to a lot of stuff, you'll just get better through that process. Ba-boom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I would also say that I think a lot of people get mired in the details of like steps 7, 8, and 9
for sure
of a process, rather than actually doing steps 1, 2, and 3.
Also, when it comes to getting advice from people, you should only choose like 3 people to get advice for on certain stuff, like a script, for instance. One thing that I learned from being in a script writing for the short film was the sort of lead up class that I took before thesis, was that if you've got too many people in a room all giving you advice on the same piece of work, you're going to get like literally opposite pieces of advice at certain points. And that's just going to drive you insane. So you kind of have to choose like a couple people that you really trust their opinions on, and then take their advice and then move forward from there, and not like take advice from everyone possible, because everyone's going to have different opinions. And like, you need to just choose people that, who you trust, and utilize that, and then, but kind of stick to your own gut too.
That is absolutely true.
Matt, wasn't there a specific thing that you found that said exactly that you sent me like several months back, that talked about like not sharing, like not even getting advice from on your writing from people unless they're also writers?
There's got to be a highly specific
reason. Do you remember
reason.
how that went?
I think that was more about like expertise. So let's say you're writing this book about, I don't know, psychology or something. You don't like show it to your wife and show it to whoever and ask all these people for advice if they're not in the field of psychology or know it deeply. Like, their feedback is just not going to be appropriate. And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, as Ted was talking about this process, I think about last week, literally just last week, I went through this process. I wrote this thing up that was kind of math-based and general entertainment. It's like 2,500 words, so it's substantial enough to be something, but it's, it's not a lot. It's just the beginning. And I showed that to 3 people for highly specific reasons. Mm-hmm. One was Kevin, because, this is what we do. Another was my brother, who is a former math teacher, so he had a certain perspective. And the other was James from the Baby Gang, precisely because he was he's Australian rather than American, and is not natively familiar with some of the references in it. So I wanted to see.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, like they had 3 distinct roles in this evaluation process, and all 3 provided feedback that was unique and useful, I think, precisely because they had a little role to play in getting that done. I could give it, like, I was thinking of if there could be a fourth. Absolutely could be a fourth who is a writing, editing expert. They're going to look at it in terms of just general flow and readability, and that could be useful. But beyond that, no. Beyond that, you're kind of just engaging in vanity and being like, "Hey, look at what I did," But you're not going to get.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. And I think that that's another issue that you can kind of run into, is that you can get to a certain point, and I got to this with YouTube, where I constantly needed certain people around me to continuously validate what I was doing instead of just doing it. And because for longest time, I made videos on YouTube without having any group or any connection to anyone on YouTube, but I was still making videos and I was still getting a generally positive reaction to it. So if I had that, the kind of the logic that I'm thinking about is that if I had that sort of intuition back then, I most likely still have it now. So that's kind of, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Matt in terms of the vanity thing, is sometimes you do send things to people just for stroke.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like
to be like, oh, wow, this is so great, and you're like, I know, I did that. It's not helpful.
Yeah,
right.
It's nice for people to know what you're doing, and we were actually talking about this in the Discord today. That having people who you talk to or who are around you who take what you're doing seriously, even if they don't know at all what it is. That's a useful thing in terms of just like kind of your inner morale. And I can see talking about a project with somebody, like I've done that with some of the things that I'm writing. Like I'll talk to people about, this thing is going on, whatever. And that's good.
Yeah.
And I think those are the 2 stages of it, is like talking about a thing to a normal degree versus just jamming the thing in their face and laying it bare.
Mm-hmm. Ted,
and I have to imagine that works on YouTube in a similar way. I don't know.
I was just going to say, another thing that you can do, excuse me, is kind of force yourself to make a thing because you tell people you're going to. Like, I have a book that I've been working on. Well, I shouldn't say that I've been working on it for a couple of years, because I haven't. I've worked on it sporadically over the course of a couple of years. But I recently started a Twitter account for it, in part just to, I don't know, like publicly put myself on the spot that this is a thing that people will look forward to. So I kind of have to continue to make progress on it. Does that make sense?
I do. I've definitely tried that too. I tweeted, when did I tweet this? I tweeted on December 23rd. I'm going to be posting more videos often in 2021. I have not posted a video in 2021. So I do agree that sometimes it works, but I think if you do it, for me at least, this is my experience. I think if I do it too much, then it starts to lose its value in the actual words. It starts to become sort of a boy cries wolf kind of thing, at least for me.
Yeah. But I can see you getting a piece of content out of this podcast, which is doing a cooking video about military food.
Actually, yeah. Making terrible military meals.
Oh, Lord. So you can start with hardtack. Hardtack has a bunch of names. Sheet iron is one. Tooth dullers is another. I actually had to stop eating hardtack because my teeth would break.
Why were you eating hardtack to begin with?
I used to eat it a lot back. Well, like when you were a bartender, Kevin, like back in those days, I used to eat a lot of hardtack.
Why though?
Yeah,
hardtack. Its name sounds bad. So why were you eating it?
So it's really a dense, hard cracker, okay? And that's why it was so good in the 1800s, for example, because You could make it, you just fire it in an oven and boom, you can make it at scale. You can transport it easily because it's flat and dense. You can, that goes for the soldiers as well. You can have a bunch of hardtack in your pack and it's not going to take up a lot of space.
Does it not go bad very easily either?
It doesn't go bad, no. And
like ever, like never
ever,
goes bad.
Truly ever. Yeah. It can attract bugs and worms, but if the hardtack goes in hot coffee, then those bugs and worms will rise to the top and can just be skimmed out. But yeah, hardtack was a couple of years ago.
Wait, hold on. I don't think we're going to be spending enough time on that. You got to dip it in. You got to dip it in hot coffee to get all the bugs out before you eat it.
If you were short on rations, you're just trying to get through the winter of 1865. Like you're the guy in the band song "The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down."
But when was the last time you were short on rations, though? At sea in the winter of 1865.
Well, it's cheap. Okay, it's cheap, and I don't like to eat a lot in the morning, so you can have coffee and you can have a piece of hardtack, and like it's good. It's enough to get you going.
Right.
But yeah, it's making good hardtack would be a good place to start on that video. And like Kevin said, it does kind of last forever. I'm fairly certain that some was found from the Civil War era, from the Union, in a military storehouse, and it was still good.
And they ate it?
So we're talking, I don't know, they must have decided it was good somehow. I actually think that the rations might have been from the Mexican American War, so that would have been the 1840s.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if Tom can verify this.
What is that? Those are some Alamo crackers.
Yeah, it's older than that. I'm pretty sure that that was one of the main things they ate during the Age of Sail, like the explorers.
Yes.
You would pack the ships on like the Nita, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, and the hardtack. That's right. Basically.
Okay, so you got shit and shingles, you got hardtack. I mean, what other types of military food are there then? It sounds like there's two.
Oh, I don't know, but this reminds me of Many Kudos talking about the channel on YouTube where the guy eats the old MREs that are like 100 years old.
Yeah, no, that's gross. I've seen that before.
Yeah,
it makes me deeply uncomfortable.
MREs, that's kind of modern classic military food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you always do like a little history lesson at the beginning of some of your videos, Ted. I mean,
do that. I do that, and it's almost always wrong. It's almost always just bullshit. Like the whole time when I talk, I'm like, and I usually think of it on the spot a lot of the time, like with my gingerbread making. I made a gingerbread house in one video, and I talked about how like every 17 years, like cicadas, I never mentioned cicadas, but I realized that it's very similar to cicadas. Like these like gingerbread men rise from somewhere and they need a home to stay in, which is why we make gingerbread houses, so they have somewhere to stay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, that's kind of the reason why I made the incorrect history of milk video, was because I'm pretty good at making shit up, so I might as well just do it for a whole video. And I was planning on making another video similar to that this year. I got the hiccups for some reason. I don't know why, excuse me. But yeah, no, those are fun to make.
Speaking of accuracies, I do want to be clear about this as I looked it up. Hardtack from the Mexican-American War was given out in the Civil War, so that was about a 15-plus year storage period. But then hardtack that wasn't used in the Civil War was reissued during the Spanish-American War, so that was about a 35-year gap. So it lasts.
Wow. What the hell?
It's good stuff.
And it definitely would not have been wouldn't have been like a massive profit loss if they had just made new hardtack, right?
I bet it probably cost them a lot more to store than it would have been to make it when they made it.
Why did they do that?
Storage space isn't cheap.
Jeez. And they could have had fresh hardtack. Everyone loves fresh hardtack. I mean, come on. As Ben says in the episode chat, glad we're finally getting into tachonomics. This is a good discipline, and I'm glad that we've broken open a brand new academic discipline on this episode. Yeah. Hell yeah.
There was some. I did a video on Vsauce too 1,000 years ago about food that doesn't go bad. I think it was called Apocalypse Foods. It was something like that. It was like 12 apocalypse foods, and there was something from like the Inuit Alaskan population where they made something that was similar to hardtack. And it was like different fruits and grains they put into a ball, and it also just would not go bad.
Like a fruit jerky or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I was really hoping to find it. Maybe Tom in the chat can figure it out.
Yeah, it's already in there. Apocalypse food. Fruit by the apocalyptic foot.
Oh, the video is in there, but not the name of the.
Pemmican.
Pemmican. Yes, thank you. That's what it's called. Pemmican. 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 That's what I was talking about.
Pemmican.
That's still extremely
meat
popular.
And berries.
Ew, what the fuck?
Grain.
Yeah.
Meat and berries?
For anybody listening, it's basically like throwing some berries in beef jerky. That's essentially what it is. Yeah.
Oh.
Add it to the list. Ted, pemmican.
Does that count as a military food though?
It's probably not military food, but it is a food that will not go bad, as far as I understand.
No, it's going to last as long as it's not subject to humidity. It's going to last indefinitely. Yeah.
So you just gotta keep it in a dehumidifier, or
It's
no,
just gotta be
no, not a
in a
dehumidifier,
cool,
like
dry place.
like one of those cigar cases. You know what I'm talking about?
If you don't have a walk-in pemmican
Humidor?
unit
Yeah.
in your house, a pemmican humidor, then are you even living?
Nah, that's an honest question.
It's a good point.
I don't know, Ted. It's not a military food, but I mean, I don't think anybody would shut the door on wanting to watch you eat berry-filled beef jerky.
Yeah.
A ball of it. That sounds delightful. Yeah.
I'm realizing just now that there is someone must be my neighbors. They are blasting bass-filled music, and I just want you to know that when you're editing this podcast, you're probably gonna maybe have to turn down the parts where you could hear bass-filled music or something. I can hear it through my my walls.
Do you know what song it is? What kind of music is it?
I don't know. I'm just hearing
what
like
music?
That's really all I'm hearing. That's all I'm getting.
Kind of sounds like the back line, the bass line to Warrant's Cherry Pie. Do you like that song?
I don't know that song off the top of my head. Is Ben W the editor?
Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He seems upset about my me breaking the news to him about the background music. Oh no. I'm sorry.
Here goes his weekend plans.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's not a bad premise for a video, all these things. And you do seem to take subjects that are incredibly mundane and make them 15 or 20 minutes of fun. Is that, do you do that on purpose? Like, do you try to choose a topic that's like pedestrian?
Not necessarily. I just try to choose a topic that I think would work, really. I don't know. I mean, I suppose, although I wouldn't say that stuff like inventing Healy tricks is necessarily too mundane. But what are you thinking of specifically?
Well, okay, so you say that you want to identify something that works. How did you decide this video about making nut butter is going to work? Like, what elements?
Because I made another video called Making the Ultimate
works.
Nut Butter, and that worked. And I'm not sure if necessarily it worked because my brand is milk, because I actually don't know how successful my brand of milk actually even works, because some of my milkman videos are actually the more of the lesser viewed videos on my channel. Like my more recent milkman video has maybe a little over 500,000 views, but compared to the videos around it, it's not actually that much. Sure. But I think it as an idea of like making the ultimate something, I feel like that is interesting. People like that. And I was like, I could make something out of this is really all it was. I was like, I could make an ultimate nut butter. I combine and I also was curious about what it would be like to make all of these nut butters.
Do you have to have that question in the back of your mind that's like an actual curiosity on some level of how whatever the thing is
a little
bit. Turn out?
One of the things I've done with most of my cooking videos really is like I used to do cooking videos where it was just cooking. Whereas now I've been more interested in adding a modifier to the cooking video to make it more interesting. So for instance, like baking a cake with only gardening tools is like, oh, I'm baking a cake. I could just make a video where I'm baking a cake, but instead this time I'm only using gardening tools in order to make it. So I like cooked it inside of a pot. And I went to Lowe's and I bought a bunch of trowels and stuff to mix with it. And then I left those trowels at the place that I stayed in Ithaca in the backyard because I didn't need trowels. But maybe someone who ended up living there might.
They're like, wow, free trowels.
Yeah, free brand new trowels. Ooh, what's this baking powder doing on here?
A gardener must have rented this place before me.
Yeah. But other stuff, I mean, you know, so a lot of times I'll have like a story to tell. Like for instance, with my most popular video, which is actually, it's almost at 3 million views now, but it's the accidental 400 milligram edible, which I'm so surprised that video did well, because I'm very proud of the titling of it, because I managed to get around mentioning weed at all in the title, which I think is why YouTube hasn't dinged me for it. But I like telling the story videos when I have little pieces of evidence of video to go with it. So I did another video, must have been, almost 2 years ago on February 2nd, 2019. I went to this creepy religious thrift shop in South Dakota with my friend Tucker. And I actually went back there with my dad in August. And I was going to do a story video where I talk about that experience, because I have footage of me talking to this. It's basically this, there's this town, Mitchell, South Dakota, and they have, you know, this thing called the Corn Palace, which is like this event center, but it's covered in corn husk, and it's like a tourist attraction for those traveling on I-90 East. But they also have this little thrift shop that's got a bunch of knickknacks and stuff, and it's this Bible tabernacle kind of thing. There's this guy who runs it, and he's got a Bible walkthrough area in the back of it. And it's really, really creepy, because it's like a bunch of repurposed mannequins dressed up to look like characters in the story of the Bible. There's like a sarcophagus in there. There's like a giant, like there's a bunch of literal artifacts from Jerusalem there in little glass cabinets and stuff. But the guy himself he's sort of a character. He is a believer in the Bible, I think, but I think from our conversations with him, I believe he only believes in the Old Testament. Yeah, so like but the weird stuff of when I was talking to this guy was when he is very, very friendly, and he would say stuff like, he was like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm moving to California. And he was like, oh, you know, I live out in Palm Springs. Do you have any family or friends out there? And I was like, I lied to him and I said, yeah, no, I know plenty of people out there. And he was like, oh, well, if you ever need anyone in an emergency, let me give you my phone number. I was like, that's okay. I really don't need that. He said some other various
an emergency too.
He said some other various interesting stuff, like how he wishes that I was his son because I was tall and white.
What?
Yeah.
What?
A lot of interesting things come from that. He was talking about how he was disappointed in his daughter because she went to college for theater. And my dad was there having this conversation with the guy. My dad was like, well, I mean, you got to support your kid though, right? And he was like, no. And
what did he want her to be? A doctor?
Yeah, like a doctor, like that kind of shit, you know?
Well, that's very common.
Yeah.
A lot of parents that are like that. That's not too weird.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. There was like this new area that had built since the last time I'd been there was 2016. So there was this new area that they had built, and there was this picture of Tom Cruise on the wall, and it said like the gringo was a caption on it. I don't really know entirely what that was about. Very, very interesting place. It's like, it is literally nothing I've ever seen before is going into that place. It is so strange because half of it is a Bible walkthrough play area, like weird amusement park kind of thing. I don't even know. And then the other half is just a bunch of, you know, South Dakota based t-shirts being sold. There's a bunch of wooden bowls that are being sold there, like various carved wooden bowls. And
Good.
I got like
Did you buy one?
When in 2016, I bought a Costa Rica pin from there because they had a Costa Rica pin. I don't know how or why. When I went there recently, I bought a bowl. Yeah, I bought one of the wooden bowls to have. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, so is this a video?
Yeah, I made an original video on it. But the most recent time, I was taking videos when I was going around the place, and I didn't realize I was still recording, and I actually have footage of this conversation with the guy, like of like audio of him talking to us. So I don't know if I don't know. It's tough because I don't know if I am going to use that necessarily because I don't have his consent to use his audio.
Yeah.
But I'll look into the legality of it because it would be really funny if I included him saying that I was his son. But yeah, I do have like footage of like the place and stuff.
You laugh at that. And I replied to one of your tweets a couple weeks ago saying that if I had a daughter, you would make a suitable husband for her.
Yeah.
And so,
I think I remember that.
I forget why. Yeah. It was, I can't think of the original tweet, but yeah, as you're talking about this story and you're like, wow, that's the cringiest, weirdest thing ever.
Well, it's a funny thing to say on Twitter.
Like,
that's funny to say on Twitter, but to someone that you meet for the first time, like he had no idea that this was the second time I was meeting him.
And also, my reasoning wasn't that you were tall and white.
yeah. And he like explicitly said that too. Like he wasn't, he was just like straight up. He was like, hey, you are tall and white. I wish you were my son.
Gosh.
Yeah, that one didn't come out of the Old Testament.
No, I don't think it did.
What did you say in response to that? Thanks.
I did one of those things where you're like,
right. Okay.
Like,
what can you do?
Like, well, how are you supposed to respond to that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
there's no good way. Yeah, just laughing it off, I guess.
Exactly.
Like, please don't, murder me. Wear my skin. That's what I would be worried about.
You replied to my good vibes tweet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I replied and I said the
5 weeks
sexy
ago,
and sweet half of the podcast of the world's dreams.
That's right. You're the first person to get it right. So I appreciate
was
it.
Was that your original intention from the beginning?
Yeah. When we conceived of the show, that was my contribution. I was like, oh, it's going to be like this, Kevin, and you're the crusty podcast ogre that no one likes.
That is right. Yep. Well known. No fathers want me as their sons. I'd love to get into some questions from our patrons. So if you're not familiar with the process here, we have patrons in the
we're going to
live
machine
chat.
gun them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's part of the perks
so we can get you out of here.
Of being a patron of the Create
I would
Unknown.
love to answer some questions.
Well, good. Ben W asks, and this is quick. It's got to be fast. Ted, what's 9 plus 10?
Oh, who even knows? I mean, come on, 9 plus 10. That's sort of an irrelevant question when there's an international pandemic. What's the next question?
That's correct.
The next one is from Tom Videoger. He wants to know, why are people homeless?
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Tom is horrified that I've asked this question because it wasn't a serious one. But
heavy,
anyway.
Tom. That is heavy. God damn you, Tom. The ruling elite crushing down upon the average man, the 1%. Bernie Sanders is coming for you, 1%ers. He's coming and he's got big long claws and he's a socialist.
Is that why he wears the gloves?
Yeah, he wears those
to hide his claws.
He wears those big ethically sewn gloves to hide his big claw like Edward Scissorhands socialist fingies.
Do they retract or are they just out there all the time?
What do you mean? How do you say?
Do the claws retract like inside his hand like Wolverine or something, or are they out there all the time?
I feel like just imagine his hands and they become like, imagine he's like a werewolf, but only his hands transform on a full moon and a blue moon and a blood moon. And those are the only times.
We have another one That's good. No. I think we've nailed the essence of Bernie Sanders, and we've got animations in the chat that prove everything that you've just said. And we just solved homelessness, so that's excellent.
Yeah.
Ben also asks
the solution to homelessness is Bernie Sanders and his werewolf, blood moon, new moon, blue moon, and and full moon fingers.
This sounds like something Psychic Pebbles would draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to see that.
Ben asks, after becoming the Ithaca king of Five Guys and now living in LA, can you settle the age-old Five Guys versus In-N-Out debate?
Oh, man, that's tough. Well, here's the thing about, In-N-Out and Five Guys. I mean, Five Guys is a completely different ball game compared to In-N-Out. With In-N-Out, you're kind of In-N-Out. One of the magic of In-N-Out is its menu, where you can just order everything that just isn't there on the menu. It's fun because you feel like you're part of a club. You get to order because you're in the know. I personally go for a double protein style, which is when you get lettuce instead of buns, which is awesome because of this one reason, folks. And listen closely, because I'm not going to repeat myself. It makes you taste the pickles, the cheese, and the meat better than if you had a bun. Additionally, it doesn't fill up your stomach with a bunch of that bread that you don't even need. But then you've got Five Guys, which is a glorious establishment. You've got the checkered walls. You've got the smashed burger patties. I just burped as I was saying that. It is glorious because it's almost the opposite of my situation with In-N-Out, because it is very, very heavy, but it's also really good. And they have these really good, I forget what they're called. They're basically Old Bay fries that are really good. Cajun fries.
Yeah.
Is what they call them.
They're seasoned nicely.
Yeah, they're very well seasoned. Yeah. You get it in a what's fun about Five Guys is they don't even give a shit about their branding. They just hand it to you in a greasy bag, and you just take that. It's like you came out of the dispensary, except it's a bag full of meat and cheese. But I actually did a couple of videos very, very early on in my YouTube career with Five Guys, where my friend Moses, his real name's Michael, but we call him Moses. He did this challenge where the first challenge he did was at PAX in 2015, where he ate a 5-patty Five Guys burger. And then we did another one where he did the 8-patty challenge. And then I believe he did the 10-patty challenge. And these were all separate videos on my channel. Very, very old, very, very youthful videos of mine. And I ended the last episode of the Moses Food Master stuff when we were talking about him doing 3 5-patty burgers. And we actually tried to do it a long time ago, but it unfortunately ended with Moses hurling his guts out in a Petco parking lot. And we have that footage somewhere of Moses doing the hurling in the Petco parking lot. And I actually think that for this video that I was going to make about why I don't post videos often, I was going to address the 15 patty burger video, and I was just going to throw in a video of Moses hurling his guts up in a Petco parking lot. Just meat. It was meat. He was telling about how when he was eating this burger, he could not eat anymore. It was like, imagine your entire stomach all the way up your esophagus is just filled to the brim with burger meat. And imagine that all coming out, burger meat and bile, as I like to call it.
Oh,
yeah, no, it was awesome. Fantastic.
Ooh. Imagine telling somebody on at Ellis Island 140 years ago that,
this is our culture.
Welcome to America. A couple of generations from now, we will be so filled with burger meat that we'll have to vomit
in a Petco
everywhere.
Lot.
God, that is the dream. That is the American dream.
Yes. Thank you for building America.
God, it excites me. It makes me tingle just hearing it. And by the way, on your burp, that is the second best burp on the Create Unknown. True fans will know the number one burp.
What's the number one burp?
Christian Weston Chandler, who is now Sonichu, had an impromptu burp in our interview, which was outstanding.
I could burp on command.
Yeah, I was never able to do that. I think Sonichu, what was Sonichu drinking? It was like a Mountain Dew, like the gamer Mountain Dew thing. What do they call it?
Hey, that was pretty good.
There's my on command burp.
That was excellent. That one vies for number one.
Oh yeah,
That was good.
Oh God, yeah, it's strong. It's strapping.
I hope to someday
It's the
get the
equivalent of
same
a
amount
tall
of
white
burp
burp.
power and length that happened in the critically acclaimed movie starring Will Ferrell, Elf, directed by Jon Favreau.
Well, that brings up the next question from Lizard Man.
Lizard.
What is your favorite movie? And this is really interesting because you've thought about it a lot. You're into
I have
it.
thought about
You've
it a
studied
lot.
it academically.
I've said this before, I think publicly, but at one point when I was interviewing for Blumhouse, it was some sort of it was an internship before I ended up getting the internship at that camera rental house. I was interviewing for Blumhouse. I think it was some sort. I wasn't going to be doing what I wanted to do, so I'm glad I didn't even get it. But they make horror movies, and they made Get Out. They made a variety of stuff, and they asked me what my favorite movie was, and I could not. I can never think of what my favorite movie is, even though I love film. I'm a cinephile. I still don't really know what my favorite movie is. I think in general, it is a little bit of an unfair question, especially if you're really into movies, because how the hell are you going to, like, anything that you say is going to be judged in some capacity by someone. And I'd rather just say, man, I love all movies, but then it also sounds like a cop out. So it's like, whatever. But in that moment, on this call with this person who worked for a horror movie production company, I said Elf on that. And I did not get the internship, and they were audibly confused when I said it too. So it was definitely a mistake. But it is I think it's a classic, it's a classic movie. But I definitely shouldn't have said that.
Might have been suboptimal.
Yeah.
Is there a movie, just one movie, and it doesn't have to be the number one?
I'll give you a movie I really like. I mean,
that's why I said soften.
I wrote a paper about this movie.
Has one inspired you, though?
I wrote a paper about this one movie while I was in college that I really enjoyed. It's called Wild Tales by it's by an Argentinian director. It is what's his name? It was by Damien Cifron.
Damien Cifron?
Yeah, and basically it is a movie that it's a collection of short stories that are about just people in real shitty situations, or ridiculous situations, and they're sort of meant to highlight human nature and sort of our animalistic tendencies. And it's sad, it's funny, I think it's a very, very good film. It was also nominated for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film at the 87th Academy Awards. And for the Palme d'Or, I don't know how to say that, but at Cannes, Palme d'Or, who knows? Yeah,
it's good. That went nicely. Just the trajectory of that answer was excellent.
Thank you.
We're going to machine gun these last few. Microspeen is referencing this overindulgence with meat. He wants to know, have you had edibles since you were massive?
I
OD?
have, but I've had these edibles at home because I have so much access to weed now, being in California. But I've got these edibles that are like 2 milligrams each. They're more CBD than they are THC. And when I first got them, I made sure, since it's only 2 per, you can have like 3 of them and you'll be fine. But I made sure before I add 3 of these that I like read it very carefully. Like, I'm very suspicious of edibles these days because of my experience. It was not fun, to say the least. There's a lot of people in the comments for that video too that did not believe that I experienced a 400 milligram edible. I sort of believe a lot of the comments because a lot of people say that these sort of nerd throw edibles they spray a THC distillate on them, so it's sort of up in the air about how much actually the milligram count is. But
Okay.
I definitely do remember getting higher than I've ever gotten in my life, and it was to the point of being painful. So I think that, it doesn't necessarily matter exactly how many milligrams it was. It said that it was 400 on the packaging, so that's what I went with. So,
But you just got to a level you hadn't achieved
it was
before.
miserable, man. It was, oh God, it was so bad. It was literally the worst. Literally the worst.
Well, let's go wholesome to recover from this. Guy asks, have you had any interesting reactions, or did you have, from your family when all of your online endeavors started to gain steam?
I don't know. I mean, my family's kind of chill about it. They're really chill. They're super chill about it. I mean, they're very supportive. Like, whenever I release a new video on my main channel, my parents always tell me that they get it up on the big TV and they watch it. So they think I'm funny. So I think that they enjoy that I'm doing well and stuff. But yeah, I don't really know. You know what? I think it's also been weird because there hasn't really been any sort of gatherings of any sort with family and stuff. So I haven't really experienced it very recently.
Okay.
And I think at the beginning of last year, at the beginning of 2020, I was at like 200 something K. So I'm much bigger than I was back then, but I haven't really talked to many people about it. But when I was at a wedding, my dad liked to do this thing where whenever him and I were in the same conversation, he would go and turn to this person, he'd say, yeah, ask him what he does for a living. And then I'd be like, all right, great. And I have to explain the entire intricacies of how I make money, why I make money, and why people care, which is always fun. That's one thing that I've noticed with my group of friends that I know who do YouTube stuff is family parties are always kind of weird because it always ends up being explaining it all and like giving like a rundown of how everything works, which I actually don't really mind doing, but it is funny how it is a consistency with everyone I know. Yeah.
Well, we'll keep going on wholesome then. Tom, who lives in the Upside Down, asks, how was your trip to Australia?
How was my trip to Australia?
Did you have one of those?
No, I didn't. I did not go to Australia.
Well, how was it? I mean, if you didn't go, yeah, he says make one up.
Oh, man. Oh, Australia, full of stuff. Had to fight a kangaroo, stole my hat, my favorite Boston Red Sox hat. I said, hey, kangaroo, give me my Red Sox hat back. The kangaroo actually spoke English, and he said, oi, mate, fuck right off. I'm going to get me some ciggies from the Centrelink, and I'm gonna fuck your mum. And then he called me a cunt. And then I was like, dude, what the hell? So I had to box the kangaroo. And the thing is about kangaroos is that they're very good boxers, but the problem is that kangaroos have really sharp talons on their feet. So if you let them grab you, they're going to bring their feet up and they're going to rip your guts open with their legs. This is a true thing. So I had to avoid the legs. So I kind of gave him a couple of these, a couple right boys right in the noggin. And then I pulled out a gun and I shot it. So I won against the kangaroo. And I was pretty much ready to leave Australia at that point until I got kidnapped by an international drug ring. But that's another story for another time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got your money's worth on that trip to Australia.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if you've ever seen that guy boxing, the guy saving his dog from the kangaroo. That's exactly what I did, except it was in a real boxing ring.
That was wild. Well, going from Australia to Ithaca, we have a child, a literal child in the chat.
Child, okay.
Literal child who has thrown in an application to attend Ithaca
College.
So,
Bombers represent.
What was the single worst thing about your time there? That's the question from this applicant.
Sodexo is a food. They're basically a catering company, and they, for the longest time at Ithaca, they were catering at the dining halls. But then there was this sort of insurrection against Sodexo. Sodexo, by the way, is also they also do catering for like, I don't know, like private prisons and stuff like that. But the food isn't. The food is
just institutional.
Yeah, the food itself. Not to say that like people who live in prison deserve bad food, but the food from Sodexo is bad. So, but there was this period of time where people were just getting so pissed at Sodexo. They were given like uncooked chicken. Some of the shit they were giving us was really bad. This was this was when I was, I didn't even really have a full meal plan anymore and I was cooking for myself. And there was also during a period of time when I wasn't making that much money. So that was a period of time where I very much so was cooking for myself a lot. So it's funny that I forgot how to do that and I lost that ability. But they eventually got kicked off. And then now Ithaca runs their own dining situation, which is cool too, because they have a bunch of local businesses, like College Town Bagels. It's like a coffee place, and they've got it's definitely improved. It's definitely improved over there. So I don't know but if there's any other worst thing about Ithaca, I would have to say it's the weather. The thing is about Ithaca is it's not necessarily super snowy. It does get snowy there, but I feel like Massachusetts kind of takes it versus Ithaca in terms of the volume of snow. But the thing that makes Ithaca worse than Massachusetts is the wind chill. The wind chill high up on South Hill. Holy fuck, dude. Gets cold. Imagine like walking in a direction to try to get to your class, and you're just getting this miserable wind that is just piercing your face, making you cry. Those tears will freeze. Yeah, no, it's bad.
I don't think a lot of people realize that what the lake effect winds combined with that cold really do to people, and it kind of like starts in Buffalo and goes halfway to Albany.
Yeah, I was going to say, go to Fredonia. It's worse. It's literally That's where I went to school. We had a Great Lake. You had a Little Finger Lake.
It's crazy because like it wasn't even that I was like, oh man, I'm so cold. At times, like walking to class, my face was getting so irritated by this cold. I was almost getting like upset by it. It was just so annoying.
Mm-hmm. It hurts. It can hurt quite badly.
It's bad. It's not fun. But Ithaca is a good school. Ithaca is totally beautiful in the summer, wonderful in the spring. The fall is pretty good. It takes a while for it. It's almost like once the fall is over and it starts getting cold, the spring is somewhat irrelevant in terms of, unless you're staying there for the summer, it's somewhat irrelevant. It's like, oh man, it's April. Nope, still snowing. It's going to only really start becoming spring in like the final weeks of April and at the beginning of May in Ithaca.
That's right. Snow is not gone up here until the middle of May. Then you can be safe.
Exactly.
Well, our last patron question is from Elevensies. And I think this is the one that everybody wants to know. They've always wanted to know. What is your favorite type of milk? Cow, goat, almond, breast, etc.?
I really enjoy whole milk, but I know it's not necessarily super healthy to drink all the time. So my preference for milk most of the time is oat milk, specifically the brand Planet Oat.
Ooh.
And I've said this before in my videos too. A long time ago, I said that whole milk is my number one milk, but oat milk is my number two milk.
What about hazelnut milk? Do you like that? I've been getting into it lately.
I actually don't think I've ever tried hazelnut milk. I may have tried hazelnut milk.
It's really
I
nice.
must have tried hazelnut milk.
It's got a light flavor of hazelnut.
I must have tried hazelnut milk in the Ultimate Milk video. There were so many types of milk there that it was hard to keep track of all the ones I've tried. But coconut milk is not that good. I will say that. Coconut milk is not that good. Or at least the coconut milk I had was mealy. It was weird.
I have a box of it in the pantry right now that I got as a gift, and I haven't tried it yet. And I was looking forward to it until about 12 seconds ago.
Well, I could have just had a bad brand too. That's totally possible. But I don't know. I mean, it could be bad. Pina colada is being said in the chat. So I think you make pina colada with coconut milk. Is that true?
I don't know. I've never made one.
I don't know. I had one bartending gig where I had to make pina coladas, and it was like a mix.
Yeah.
You just dumped the mix into like the blender with the ice and the rum.
Speaking of blenders,
and that was your pina colada.
That's one thing that I really want to get. I think that's actually, Yeah, that's one thing that my goal is to get. Whatever the blender that you used when you were doing the bartending stuff, those blenders that kind of have a square, the cup that you blend
Yes.
is
Like the
square.
Vitamix
It's like
ones?
the restaurant quality ones. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get one of those. I'm saving up. I'm trying to justify for myself. I'm trying to get one of those just for my apartment because I feel like those are always make the best stuff. They mix stuff the best. They make the best like shakes or whatever. They make the best everything because they're meant to last forever or a long time.
Yeah. The restaurant grade big blenders.
Yeah.
That was that miserable job making frozen drinks.
But
Horrible.
if I were to have one in my place, it would be Ultimate Host, right?
It'd be it'd be Ultimate Post.
No, Host. It would be a sick.
Oh, Ultimate Host.
You would
that
be
would be
yeah,
a dope
of
thing
course.
because it's like, hey, folks, friends, this is in a post-COVID context. Hey, folks, you want a
Strawberry
yeah,
daiquiri.
you want a strawberry daiquiri, you want a pina colada, and then I just whip it up in my restaurant grade thing. Did you know that there is a toaster that has a touchscreen?
No.
I would never well, I thought about it, but I don't think I would ever get it, but it looks really cool because this is just this is something I imagine is in every 1%er's home. All these people Bernie Sanders is trying to kill. It like it gives you a countdown on a visual screen and you get to toast your bread the exact right toastiness. It's awesome. These are all such boring topics that I'm talking about, but for some reason I'm excited about them.
Imagine being a toast snob.
I
mean, you have to have not a lot of problems in your life to put toast at the top of your troubles list.
Well, it's not really. I mean, it really isn't, but there is really nothing going on in coronavirus. There is really nothing going on. I don't see anyone in person. I don't have any social problems right now necessarily. So it's like I might as well have an issue with toast.
Yeah. No. Well, look, I like your blended drinks idea.
Tom linked it. That's it right there. It's
sold out.
Vastly over expensive toaster. It's like $300. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's sold out.
Wow.
You can't even
it's
get
like
it.
an iPad that toasts things.
You could get it.
It's so popular.
You could definitely get it. I'm sure it's available.
Maybe there are scalpers of these toasters, like PS5 scalpers.
Yeah, it's $2.99. It
$300
Instaglow
toaster.
heating system heats up fast, searing the bread without drying it, so it's crunchy on the outside yet soft and delicious on the inside. Come on. Are you telling me that doesn't sound amazing to you, even though it's just a fucking toaster with a touchscreen?
It does. I like toast a lot.
And
I think
one
it's
of the
very
key
good.
features, I wouldn't say this is a key feature, but one of the cool features is that when it's in sleep mode, it turns to a clock. And then also when it's getting close,
You don't have enough clocks.
it gives you a timer. You don't have to wait and wonder when the toast will be ready. It will tell you. It will give you a timer. How many toasters give you actual timers, man? Come on.
I don't know. I think you need to do a brand deal with this.
It's wild.
If I could do a brand deal with these guys, that'd be sick. Then I would get a free touchscreen toaster. That would be amazing. Oh my God. I would shit on a shingle if I got one of these.
Bringing it back full circle. Before we let you out of here, Ted, we like to ask our guests to come up with a sponsor. Speaking of sponsors for our podcast, it can be anything, and you need to do the ad read for it. So you need to invent the sponsor, you need to invent the ad read, and you need to give it to us on the spot right now.
Oh man. Okay, here we go. Should I start saying it?
Yes.
Sure.
Yep. Go for it.
This podcast was sponsored by Uncrustable Shitty Shingles. Uncrustable Shitty Shingles are a collection of the feeling of having shingles and the feeling of shitting wrapped into a Smucker's Uncrustable crust. The reason why you would like this is because you can send it to someone for their birthday if they are your enemy, because it's going to make them miserable and it's going to ruin their day. The reason why this is being advertised on this podcast is because we got a lot of enemies over here, man. We are looking to get them with our shit and shingles wrapped in an Uncrustable. How's that?
77 episodes, 77 enemies.
Exactly. Wait,
That's right.
are you saying that every person?
78 since we did Slush and Glink together.
Yeah. Yeah. You're now on our
That's
enemy list, Ted. Congratulations.
That's right.
Thank you.
Watch your back at
Jesus
VidCon.
Christ, Tom, that was quick word art. You made a word art that says Uncrustable shitty shingles. You just got Word open, ready to rock. How the hell did he do that?
Yeah. Part of me was hoping we'd be sponsored by that peanut butter and jelly sphere that you came up
That was
with
a
earlier.
legitimate-
Well,
good
imagine
idea.
imagine
yeah.
that, but then with shittiness and shingles in it, and you throw like a bomb at people, and it their body is covered in the feeling of having shingles and shitting at the same time. It would be miserable.
It's like a grenade.
Yeah, I would think more like a sticky bomb. Like you throw it at them, and they're like, "Oh no, oh, I've got shingles."
So it's effectively a herpes bomb.
Do you get shingles from herpes? Is that what you get it from?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I thought you
shingles,
get shingles
is,
from rabies. Wasn't that what it was?
What?
No, shingles is a derivative of it's in the herpes family.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a cousin.
Like
peanut butter sphere.
it's
now
like
with shingles.
horrible chicken pox.
Oh,
Painful chicken pox.
it sounds like something that would have to do with the shins. Like when we were talking about shingles this whole time, I was just thinking about I was imagining in my head like a shattered shin, and that was shingles, and that's what shingles was. I don't know why, because I knew that's not what it was, but in my head, that's what I've been thinking this whole time is like a shattered shingle. A shattered shin is a shingle.
Oh, it's from chicken pox, according to the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Did you all have chicken pox as
I
children?
never had chicken pox.
I had the pox. Oh, you didn't at all? So you're susceptible now? You could be infected?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I had it, and it's gonna
There's a video.
release
Is
itself
purposely
as
going and getting
shingles
chicken
when
pox.
I'm 30. Maybe I did have it. I don't know. I feel like I must have been too young to even remember it being a big deal.
Yeah, I was like 4 or 5, something
I
like
don't
that.
get sick that often. I had coronavirus.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, confirmed?
I definitely had it. I mean, I also got tested for it, and I was like, yeah, you got corona, man. It wasn't that bad for me. I mean, I was 22 at the time I had it, but I'm 23 now. So, I mean, I'm pretty young, so it didn't really affect me that much. I lost my smell for a good amount of time. I can smell stuff now, though, which is nice. I lost my sense of smell for like a month and a half to 2 months.
Wow.
So my chest at 23 is a turning point. Don't say that.
That's a while.
Don't say this. Next time he's done for, wow. You're going to feel real bad if I get coronavirus again and I die. Okay? You're going to feel real bad, guy. But yeah, no, it wasn't really that bad. I'm trying to remember what it was like. I mean, you know what it was? The day that I had experienced symptoms for the first time, I think I got really bad. It was almost like it was a migraine, or I thought it was a migraine. In reality, I was just experiencing coronavirus or some sort of symptom of coronavirus. Turns out, I was like, man, I was calling my mom. I was like, is the feelings that I'm feeling right now a migraine? Because I've never gotten a migraine in my life, so I'm very surprised that I'm getting one right now. But I am a little stressed lately, so maybe that's what it's about. And I never really even got around to it being, oh, maybe this is coronavirus. But I'm still 0 for 0 on getting migraines. I don't think I've ever gotten a migraine before, so that's good.
Congrats.
Thank you. I've heard they're terrible, and I don't ever want one. So, have you guys gotten migraines?
Yes.
I don't
I
think
have.
so.
Oh,
Yeah.
losers!
But
I am 0 for the. As I've mentioned before, I am 0 for 0 on migraines.
when I started to get them, I was about
Son
23.
of a bitch!
Oh, no.
Yep, sorry about it. But they did go away. Like maybe 5 years later, I stopped getting them. So
you got migraines consistently for 5 years. Nobody told me 23 to 28 was the wait. Is that math right? Yeah, 23 to 28 was the years of migraines. That's misery.
Everything is going to get worse.
Oh no! Don't say that. Why you gotta say that? That's like the worst thing you can say. That's like when people were tweeting about 2021. They were like, "This is gonna be worse," especially on January 6th. Everyone was like, "Wow, this is not getting better." I'm talking about the Capitol riot, Capitol raid.
Yeah. Well,
raid. I thought you were going to say rave, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard anybody describe it.
It kind of was in a way. I mean, they were singing YMCA the whole time, so
yeah, some crazy costumes. No, I can see that wouldn't be altogether wrong.
If you switched around some definitions, it would count.
You could completely change the meaning of a few things. It's perfect.
Yeah. Chuckle Sammy.
Yeah.
This Saturday. Well, people listening to this, it'll be last Saturday when it comes out.
Yes,
next week.
I've got the editor working on it. He's throwing it together. It's gonna be released, and I'm hoping that this time we'll be able to do it consistently. Because I've never been part of a podcast that's been consistent. But since I'm running this podcast, it's a good thing too to have like a weekly thing. I think because ever since I left college, I didn't have any structure anymore. The structure is entirely reliant on me, which is weird. Because I'm not an organized person at all, and I've got ADHD at the fucking ass. So I think it'll be good to have like that weekly thing. You guys do it on Wednesdays every week, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, that's helped a lot too. Like I think it's gotten a lot easier to have that predictable time. We always know what we have to do by when, and once we got in that pattern, things really started to roll pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned it's going to be out on that Saturday. This will come out a few days after that, which means we'll be able to put a link to it to that first episode right in the description. Nice. So if you're listening, that'll be at the top of the descript.
I will say somebody's asking who made the art for that sandwich. His name is Brandon. I think his last name is pronounced Lepine. I'm not sure if or Lepine. I'm not sure, Brandon. If you're listening, I'm sorry. He also goes by Kinjiro, but he's done some art for Curtis Connor. He's done some stuff for Tiny Meat Gang. He does this sort of like grotesque 90s-esque sort of illustrations that I fucking love. I love his shit. So I was like, and I'd worked with him on my channel art for my live channel, my second channel. So I was like, hey, I want you to do this for this podcast I'm working on. And he did a fantastic job and I love it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, everybody who's listening, check out Chuckle Sandwich. You'll get to hear Ted. You'll get to hear Jschlatt, who everyone's familiar with, and Slimecicle.
Indeed.
As well. So, Ted, thanks for hanging out with us.
No problem.
Man.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. Everybody go check out patreon.com/thecreateunknown to become part of what we're doing here. Every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. is TCU night. So don't forget, if it's Wednesday, that is TCU night, and you can hang out with us right here at TCU. All right, everyone, we're out of here. Thank you, Space Cowboys. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We'd like to extend a huge thank you and congratulations to the Tots and Dumpster crew who save tiny little lives every month. A tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang: Trevstead, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Isaac, Conrad, James, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, and Dojangles. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry: Jen Mefisanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Monahim, Ryan Kinder, Sheep, and Maruko. Thank you as well to our producer and editor Ben Webster, and to our media manager Dan Yosua. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production.